This is rental car number 115, and today I'm driving the 2019 Toyota Camry SE. This one happens to be in all black, got a midnight black metallic paint with black leather interior, and I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan. The MSRP on this one is about $26,000. I'm sure you can get a better deal than that. I just mentioned that to kind of give you a ballpark idea of what level of car we're talking about. Under the hood, we have a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine. It's got a dynamic force engine. That's just Toyota marketing speak. You also get an 8-speed automatic with direct shift capability. That's more marketing talk from Toyota. Basically, what it means is you can shift these gears manually using either paddles that are connected to the steering wheel, or you can push the gear shift to the left and then shift those gears by pushing up or down on that gear shift. You get 203 horsepower on this one and good gas mileage. 28 miles per gallon in the city and 39 on the highway. The gas tank will hold 16 gallons of fuel, and I actually filled up yesterday for $1.99 a gallon. The Chicago suburbs have some pretty cheap gas right now. Anyway, that means you can fill this thing up for about $31. So driving this thing is quite fun. I think I kind of alluded to that in my talk about the engine. Handling is solid. I mean, I'm driving this thing on snow and ice, and it is still hugging the corners well. I felt in control the entire time I was driving, and I felt so good, actually, that I ended up pushing this car a lot harder than I typically do my rentals. I'm kind of cautious with cars I haven't driven before. Acceleration is fun. Now, this is not the fastest rental I've ever had, but the engine does give you a satisfying roar when you hit the accelerator, and it responds almost instantly, so it really is a good ride. I gotta say, I had a ton of fun driving this one. Here's the key fob on the Camry. 4 buttons on the front: lock, unlock, trunk release, and a panic button. Toyota's logo right on the back. It's made out of nice quality plastic, and it's got kind of a rubbery feel to it. You also get a physical key. You just press this little silver button right here, and the key snaps out. Then you'll start the car up just like you'd expect by inserting it into the ignition. Turn it forward and watch the car boot up. Alright, steering wheel setup's got a number of buttons on it. Here on the left-hand side, you have controls to interact with a small screen, the gauge cluster. You also have controls to interact with your phone and the volume of the entertainment features on the vehicle. On the right-hand side, you have your cruise controls. Buttons down here to interact with the display up here on the dash. And then you get 2 additional safety features right here. These are hard to describe, but this is radar. So when you set cruise, this will keep you a safe distance from the car in front of you. If that car slows down, the car will actually slow down automatically for you and match the speed of the vehicle in front of you. This is lane departure assistance. So essentially, if the car senses the lines on the road, and it only does that if they're really clean and easy to see, but if it senses the lines on the road and you veer off just a little bit, the car is going to beep at you and gently push you back into your lane. Up above, you'll see you get a nice gauge cluster, RPMs on the left, speedometer on the right, with a good sized display in the middle. It's got some decent colors to it, but not a whole lot of fun information on it. I generally keep the system on this setting right here. This will show you if the lane departure assistant technology is actually sensing the lanes on the road, but there's also a couple other features that you can play around with. Trip counters that have a little bit more information than normal, menu structures to turn on and off everything, and then maintenance warnings. Just your basic stuff, nothing too tremendously interesting, but just enough. It's also nice to see that this car comes with sport shift capability. You'll see right here that you have paddles right in front of the stalks on the steering wheel. There's one right here on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side. They are a nice big size and made out of, I'd say, thick plastic, so they feel really good when you're shifting through those gears. Over on the left-hand side, you get all your standard buttons here. Window controls, door locks. You also get a knob right here to adjust the mirrors. Speaking of the mirrors, even though you get a ton of safety technology on this car, you do not get blindside detection. So there is no blindside warning on either of these mirrors, either on your side or on the passenger side. Up on the dash, you do get a couple other things to play around with. This button right here makes your high beams automatic. So if you're driving down sort of a dark country road, you can turn on this system. And when you turn on your high beams on the car, if there's a vehicle that's coming in front of you, the car is going to sense it and it's going to automatically turn off your high beams till that car passes, and then the high beams will be turned back on once it's clear. Another control to turn on and off traction control, and then buttons to release the trunk and the fuel cap. Way down below, we also get a push pedal parking brake. Shifting your focus up top, we get a nice setup up here, kind of clean and easy to use. Sunglass holder right here. 2 simple buttons to illuminate the cabin. A small switch right here for an SOS feature if you need to call for help. And then a simple rear view mirror. No buttons of any kind on here, just a toggle switch to shift it up and down. Down below there, you get your hazard buttons. And then what I think is a pretty nice touchscreen right here. This is the home screen. You'll notice that there are no bright and colorful icons, kind of like Chevys lately, where you have like an iPad type display. This is not that, but there's still plenty of features to play around with. If we go to the apps screen, you'll see that there are some apps loaded on this car. You have the Toyota notification app, and then some other things you can play around with. But unfortunately, there's no Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, stuff I would prefer. I mean, generally I don't check my stocks on my vehicle, but I guess there's an app for that here. I found this really easy and pleasant to use. Generally, all I do is connect my phone via Bluetooth and listen to some music or an audiobook, and I was able to do that in probably 15 to 20 seconds. And the system was really easy to use, and if I'm being honest, that's all I really need on a car like this. Controls feel really nice. You have dedicated controls on the left and right side. You also have a knob right here to adjust the volume or tune the radio. These have a nice rubber sort of top on them, so they feel really easy to grab and easy to manipulate. Down below there, you get your climate controls. Pretty simple, but easy to use. Button right here controls the temperature, and you get a digital display right here to adjust that. And then you can also adjust the fan, the direction of where the vents are blowing, and then if you need to defrost your windows. Gear shift is below there. It's kind of nice to see that Toyota has added a couple of details to this. Not only is the gear shift wrapped in a really nice soft leather, but you get different colors for each gear that you shift through. So obviously park is in blue, reverse is in orange, neutral is in green, and drive is in blue. Also, if you want to push that gear shift over to the left and use the sport shift capability, so instead of using the paddles up here to shift the gears, you can shift the gears manually by pressing up or down on the gear shift. Real quick, I also should note that if you do put the car in reverse, that you do get a backup camera. Mine is kind of foggy right now, so you can't really see what's behind the vehicle. And I'm just in an empty parking lot right now, and it's kind of disappointing to see that you can't see the cars behind me, and nor can you see the lines of the parking spaces behind me. So not a good sign. Anyway, shifting back down, let me get the gear shift out of the way. You also get a storage space down here. This is where I've been keeping my cell phone. This also opens up to reveal a larger space down below that you can store things. And in this area, you also get a USB connection and an auxiliary jack, along with a 12-volt power port right here, although you will need an adapter to take advantage of this. Next to the gear shift, you also get 2 cup holders. And then there is a center armrest that has some really nice leather on it. And then underneath, you get a pretty sizable storage area. No power ports, no USB ports, no lights, nothing like that here. Just a nice big storage area to keep some things. And then you get the glove box. I have it open already just to show you all the stuff that's been crammed in there by Enterprise. It's not that big of a storage area. Let me pull the manual out. I'm just going to spill everything out onto the floor. You'll notice that the storage area is kind of small, so I wouldn't expect you to get much back here besides your owner's manual and maybe a couple of registration documents. But, I mean, what else do you really need to keep in your glove box? All right, so I jumped to the back seat, and I have pushed this driver's seat back as far as it will go, just to sort of test out the space back here. And if you'll notice, I still have some legroom. Not much, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches between my knees and the back of the seat, but that's pretty impressive. So even if you push the seat all the way back, someone about 6 feet tall like me can still fit back here pretty comfortably. On the back of each seat, you'll also notice you get these pockets back here. I gotta be honest, I never keep anything in a pocket like this, but it's made out of nice leather. It's nice to see that you do have some additional storage if your passengers need it. On the center armrest for the front seat passengers, normally back here you'd find maybe some vents, some USB ports, or some power ports, but on this trim level there's nothing. Just a small cutout that looks big enough to maybe keep a cell phone, if I'm being generous. Even down below you'll see no power ports of any kind. You do get your standard window controls and door locks. And then let's take a look. Looks like a center armrest that folds down to reveal 2 cup holders. And if I can get my jacket out of the way, because it is freezing today, let me show you those car seat anchors. These are kind of my favorite sort of car seats anchor setting, because you have an actual plastic piece that you can pull away, right? Just comes right off, and then the car seat anchors are right there, easy to get to and easy to use. And that is a great sign if you're thinking about installing a car seat on this vehicle, because it will be super simple to do. All right, so let's close things out by taking a look at the trunk space. Nice big rectangular shape. The wheel wells do not infringe on the area at all, so you should be able to cram a ton of items back here if you need to. It's also great to see that underneath the floor of this area you have 2 separate compartments. The first one is kind of a it's kind of like a styrofoam type material that's holding all the tools you'll need to change a spare, and then underneath that area you have your spare tire even further down. And then if you need even more storage room back here, you can pull on these 2 small tabs right here in the trunk space, and that will release the rear seats and allow them to fold down without any effort at all, and then you can take advantage of all of the storage space in the Camry. I would, however, point out that that cutout between the actual cabin of the vehicle and the trunk space is larger than most cars in this size, but it's still not completely open, so you might not be able to get extremely big items back here. All right, so that's pretty much everything end to end on the 2019 Toyota Camry. I gotta say, I like this one quite a bit. I drove a Toyota myself. I drive a 2012 Prius C, so Toyotas are kind of in my wheelhouse, but even with that little bit of bias, I gotta say, this is a very, very nice car. Accelerates well, handles great, great tech, comfortable all around. I'm gonna miss this one. Kind of sorry I had to return it. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time when I rent and review my 116th rental car. I'll see you then.